Top 5 bronzers. I'm Laura Ray, and I want to share with you 5 bronzers that are just absolutely gorgeous, look great on mature skin. Now, there's no particular order to this, like the last one I mentioned is number one. I just want to talk about how great they are and the qualities that they have in them. Let's start off with one that is so new. It's actually what I'm wearing right now, and it's from LA Girl. This is their matte bronzer, and is this big or what? Look at it. Well, let me just say this is completely matte. If you are looking for something matte without any shimmer, then this is fabulous. It works great on mature skin. I want to mention how I apply these bronzers. I like to use this BK Beauty 104 brush. I like something that's a little fluffier. You can see how fluffy and soft, so maybe you have one like this at home. But I don't usually use something that's very dense or compact when I'm applying bronzer. Also, I go into the bronzer like this and then go directly on my hand to work it into the brush. That avoids you getting like a big blob of bronzer. I like to put it in a 3 shape around my face. Today, I forgot to bring powder in here while I'm filming, and I didn't want to get back up. So I actually went into this lighter shade here, brushed a little on the nose, a little in here on the chin, just to bronze up my face. But this is a fabulous bronzer at a very affordable price. Before I go to the next bronzer, I want to talk about my lips, because some of you will ask about my lipstick. It's the Flower Beauty Spice Petal. It's my favorite Flower Beauty shade. This is the dupe for Charlotte Tilbury. This one's a little shinier than Pillow Talk. I have bought Pillow Talk a couple of times, and that is more matte, but I actually like this better. It's more moisturizing, and you know, when this first came out, it was sold out. You couldn't get it. Now you can get it for about $8. So I'll leave the link below. Also, I did want to mention, if you're interested in looking at the necklaces, I have the link for those. They're Ana Luisa, and I really am enjoying them. Let's talk about my next bronzer that has a slight sparkle to it. Still beautiful on mature skin, and it's the Revlon Skinlights. I've mentioned this before. I love the inside because the powder is shaped like a wave, but this is very sheer. These bronzers, what I like too is I use them often on my eyes as eyeshadow for a quick, easy, out-the-door look. But this one, if you don't like shimmer or a little bit of gold mixed into it, it's very slight. It's like microfine where you almost have to move in the light to see it. But if you want completely matte, then you don't want this one. But I love this for a little luminous look, but not too over the top. Another new bronzer that came out recently is from Physicians Formula. Now, this has to be one of the softest powders I've ever worked with. There's good and bad to that. It looks beautiful on the skin. It's easy to work with, but you can even see here in the pan, there's a little bit of kick up. So when I'm applying this, I always make sure, again, when I go into the powder, I don't go directly on my face. I work the powder into the brush first and then apply. Now this has such a slight shimmer. You have to really turn your hand in a light to see it, but that's going to show up as you turn your face in the light. Now I know some people don't like that at all. They want completely matte. And it looks completely matte in the pan, so that's why I'm mentioning it. If you like matte, you're not going to like this. But I love the look of it. It doesn't get into my fine lines and wrinkles. It gives a nice, very soft, diffused look. This has been one of my favorite bronzers for so long because this one, I would say, is the closest to an Hourglass powder. I purchased the Hourglass bronzer in the mini size. I also have a couple of their blushes and highlighters in the mini size, and I'll link those too, because the nice thing about mini size is you can't even use up those powders. I guess you could if you had one powder and you used it every day, but I've had those for a couple of years now and they look the same. So they last a really long time. So buying a mini sometimes can be a really good thing, especially if you're not trying out makeup like I am. But with this, it gives that same look. This is very diffused and soft looking. Now this comes in 2 shades. They have the light, and then this one here is the medium one called Sun Swept. I usually use the light one most of the time, but I love this too, especially in the summer. My last bronzer is from L'Oreal, and this is beautiful. It's an amazing powder. It doesn't have much kick up like the Physicians formula, and it's completely matte. So out of all the ones I've shown you today, the two that were completely matte was the LA Girl and the L'Oreal. I think both of them are great. I don't know if I had to pick which one. That's a really hard decision. Even though this one has a lighter shade, it's really not that much lighter than the deeper one when you swatch it. They're fairly close. But if you have a lighter skin tone, the great thing about this bronzer is it comes in so many shades. I love the shade range that L'Oreal did with this because if you have a deeper skin tone, there's definitely a bronzer for you. If you're super fair like my daughter is, you can get a much softer shade that will match your complexion. So I appreciate the fact that L'Oreal came out with more of a range instead of thinking one bronzer works for everybody. But this is so soft looking on the skin, has no shimmer in it at all. So if you don't like any luminosity to your bronzer and you want it more to bronze and maybe sculpt a little bit, then I think this is absolutely perfect. So those are my top 5. I'd love to hear a bronzer you love. Now I've used expensive bronzers. I do have to say I love the Huda bronzer. I bought that, and that is also like the Hourglass, a really soft powder. But most of the bronzers I've tried that are higher end, I find I can get just as good at the drugstore, which really makes my heart happy. I love you all so much. If you're looking for any of these products, just go to the show more or the description of the video, and all the links are there. I appreciate so much that you shop those links. And remember that I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. I love you all. Have a blessed and beautiful week. I'll see you soon.